Newstrack tonight. There's no election, no Israel, Hamas, Gaza. We're focusing squarely on cricket because that's the only thing that's consuming 1 billion plus people across the country. And the question I'm asking tonight, is this the strongest Indian team ever? No Indian team has dominated opponents in quite the way that Rohit Sharma's team has so far. So we'll have cricket experts join us. We look at different teams from the past and we'll ask whether this is the most formidable Indian team ever. That's my top focus on the Newstrack.
He's charging for the second. He will get the second. Number 50 arrives for Virat Kohli.
That's close. That's really close, yeah. A double blow for Mohammad Shami.
Around the wickets. And in the end, he's got him caught on his crease.
Wow! And India are into the final of the World Cup 2023.
This is a real statement from the Indian.
There is some turn for Kohli. Oh, that is huge. What a sound when ball made contact with the bat.
What a start this is for India.
With the way the boys have performed, they've looked unbeatable in this tournament.
Huge impact on this World Cup. And the men in blue, invincible, 10 on the bounce, are our first finalists at the men's 2023 ODI World Cup.
The stage is set for India versus Australia Super Sunday at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. 20 saal baad, both the teams are going head-to-head in a World Cup final. 1 billion people are praying for a revenge for 2003. Both the finalists were tested by their opponents in the semi-final, and as we build up to the mega finale, we thought of showing you how the two teams have reached to the finals.
A brisk start from the Indian skipper Rohit Sharma in Mumbai set the tone for the Indian team in the semi-final.
It's coming underneath it.
It was then Virat's turn to make his mark on the big occasion, and as is the case with him, Kohli did not disappoint. He slammed his third World Cup ton and in the process became the first player in international cricket to score 50 one-day international tons.
Someone that he absolutely adored. And that's it. Back-to-back hundreds.
Shreyas Iyer also played his hand, scoring back-to-back tons to take India to a colossal total of 397 runs.
Has been only of 67 deliveries, scoring 100, keeping that momentum going.
The 2019 finalists weren't going to go down without a fight, and a 181-run stand from Kane Williamson and Darryl Mitchell had the Indian fans biting their nails.
100-run partnership, 141 for 2.
That's taken. Number 6.
But Mohammad Shami came to India's rescue and put in a performance of a lifetime. He finished with figures of 7 for 57 as India secured a place in the World Cup final.
Terrific performance, 7 for 57. New Zealand bowled out for 327. And India are into the final of the World Cup 2023.
I wouldn't say that there was no pressure. Whenever you play the game, there is always pressure, and obviously semi-final adds a bit of extra there. But I think guys were doing their job, to be honest. We wanted to take that semi-final out of the equation, not to think too much about it. Just wanted to keep doing what we are supposed to do, or what we've been doing in the first 9 games that we played. And yeah, things came off for us really nicely in the second half as well.
In the quest for a maiden World Cup final, South Africa crumbled in the semi-final yet again.
Cummins underneath it. He takes it. Brilliant catching.
Their top order was dismantled in the blink of an eye, and it looked like the same story all over again for the Proteas.
Straight into the hands of David Warner at back.
It was riding on a David Miller ton that the Proteas somehow huffed and puffed to a paltry total of 212 runs.
South Africa celebrate.
The chase wasn't so straightforward for Australia, who regularly lost wickets. Travis Head and Steve Smith then steadied the ship for the Aussies and kept them in the hunt.
And that is the class of Stephen Smith, Keshav Maharaj.
Despite some jitters, the Aussies prevailed thanks to handy contributions from the lower middle order. And for the 8th time now, Australia will be playing in a World Cup final.
Special. I still talk of the 2015 World Cup as one of my career highlights. I wasn't playing, but to be out there in a final in India, in a world's biggest stadium, it's a very happy change room there at the moment.
All of India is counting down to 2 p.m. Sunday, and the question I'm asking on the Newstrack is this: is the Rohit Sharma 11 of 2023 the strongest Indian team ever? The manner in which the boys in blue have dominated opponents is something which cricket fans haven't seen. So I've got with me on the show cricket experts, pundits, cricketers who've seen Indian cricket over the decades. They've covered the sport passionately and intensely, and they'll give us a sense of how this particular team compares with Indian teams in the past. Joining me, I want to welcome first cricket legend, India Today's commentator for this World Cup, Sunil Gavaskar. Mr. Gavaskar, thank you for joining us. We're all cheering for you and for the men in blue for Sunday. With us also is Amrit Mathur, has been General Manager of the BCCI, Chief Operating Officer at the Delhi Daredevils, advisor in the Ministry of Sports. With me, one of India's best known cricket and sports journalists, Pradeep Magazine. Pradeep, welcome. Our own cricketing ustad, Nikhil Naz, all pumped up for Sunday. And last but not least, former cricketer from Mumbai, Shishir Hattangadi. So thank you all for joining us. I want to go across to Sunil Gavaskar first, because as we count down to Sunday, a lot of fans, Mr. Gavaskar, are convinced that this is the strongest Indian team ever. We haven't seen Indian teams dominate opponents in the way that this team has in the past 10 months, in the past 10 matches. You've seen so many Indian teams in the last several decades. Do you think this truly is India's strongest team ever?
Well, I mean, firstly, I don't believe in comparisons. Comparisons are futile because you're looking at different playing conditions. You're playing overseas. You're playing at home. You're looking at ball changes. In the old days, there was only one ball used for 50 overs. Now there are two new balls used from either end. There is no restriction on bouncers in the earlier days. Now there is restriction on the bouncers. The equipment has changed. The boundaries have been brought in. So all those factors, make it a little different. So suffice it to say that this is probably one of India's best ever teams that we are seeing, and we as cricket followers and former cricketers are absolutely delighted to see the way they are playing.
What's changed in the past few weeks after the Asia Cup? Because before that, this team wasn't generating the kind of confidence it is at this moment. There were quite a few lackadaisical average performances. It seemed that this team didn't really have the mojo required to win the World Cup. That seems to have changed. They're now dominating opponents in the way that fans can only dream of. What do you think changed between earlier and now?
I think the Asia Cup win, which was a fantastic win, when you look at how they dealt with Pakistan, how they dealt with Sri Lanka in the finals, how they played against Afghanistan and Bangladesh, it just tells you that this team was looking to peak at the right time. And immediately after the Asia Cup was over, they had 3 matches against the Australians, and then after that to come and play in this tournament, they were ready. They were absolutely ready. Earlier on, you probably entered a tournament without having too much of match practice behind you. Now they have got so much of match practice, they're totally ready. And it's a very well-balanced team. There are guys who are at the peak of their powers. There are guys who are reaching the peak of their powers. So it is a team which is well, I wouldn't be surprised if on Sunday Rohit Sharma lifts that cup.
Fantastic. But earlier teams used to be dependent typically on that one mega star, Sunil Gavaskar, Kapil Dev, say Sachin Tendulkar. The interesting thing about this team is that you've got all the players playing particular roles and looking like they're in form. So you don't have one player carrying the burden of 1 billion people like Sachin used to. How do you think that's changed? Because even the likes of a Shreyas Iyer, who was not at least at the international level quite as heralded, has scored successive centuries. Except for Surya Kumar Yadav, everyone seems to have come to the party so far.
Well, Surya Kumar Yadav hasn't had too many opportunities. He comes into bat in the dying stages of the innings, so he can't really do much in that. But you're right. I think this is a team where everybody with the bat is contributing, everybody with the ball is contributing. The spoils are shared, if one might use that word, and they're shared almost equally. And that is the reason why this team seems to be such a happy team. This team, you've got to see them practice. You've got to see them warm up. While there's a sense of purpose in the warm-up, there is also a sense of fun. So they're looking at this sport as, looking at all these matches as sport. As school kids, we want to play sport. And that is exactly, they look like school kids, top-class school kids who are out there having fun while they're representing the country.
In the British press, in Pakistan and some other places, there's been a lot of carping that this World Cup organization is being bent to suit India's requirements, whether it's the manner in which the pitches are being changed at the last moment, the whole tournament is being organized, the scheduling of the matches, it's all done in a way ki jiski lathi uski bhais. Do you think that there is a disproportionate home advantage that India is exercising because of its financial muscle in the governance of global cricket?
Baseless, absolutely baseless allegation. This is what is called sour grapes. Your teams haven't done well, and therefore you are now trying to point a finger. If your teams were good enough, and that is what World Cups are all about. If you're good enough to win the World Cup, you should be able to, counter everything that is thrown at you. So the Indian team is doing it. The Australian team is doing it, despite having started badly. So the top two teams are there. Whatever these critics have to say doesn't really matter. I don't think the Indian team is even bothered. I don't think most of former Indian cricketers are even concerned. I speak my mind because I firmly believe that anybody who points a finger at my country deserves, a slap in the face, and that's what I'm trying to do by sometimes, on television. So that's exactly what I will do. Maybe some of the others will just shrug and ignore, but not me.
Let's spend a moment on our opponents, the Aussies. They seemed quite down and out when this tournament started. After that, they've recovered quite convincingly. They had a tight finish against the South Africans. How do you rate India's chances realistically against the five-time world champions who got a lot of exposure at the knockout stages and who seem to know how to come to the party on the big occasion?
Well, that will be really a great contest. I think it'll be a great finals, India versus Australia. Because Australia are 5 times champions, they know exactly how to play finals. They know how to deal with tough situations, as we've seen the other day against Afghanistan, where they were completely down and out. Glenn Maxwell played the innings of the century, one-day innings of this century, scoring a double hundred. So the Australians certainly know how to bounce back. So this is not going to be an easy game. But I do believe that the way the Indians have been playing, that they might just have a little bit of an edge. But like we all know with cricket, 1 or 2 hours can change the complexion. But I do believe that we are in for a great finals.
In the last World Cup as well, till the semi-finals, India seemed quite dominant. Later, so much was written about the 15 minutes of madness when we lost wickets in quick succession and could never really recover from there. If you were advising the team in the dressing room at this moment, what would you tell them to guard against a potential 15 minutes of madness which could wreck the chances, the luck and the mood of 1.4 billion people?
Well, I think you've got to show just a little bit of caution when that is happening. But that is not likely to happen in India. Those conditions of 15 minutes were well suited for New Zealand's bowling attack. Conditions were overcast. There was just a hint of rain. The ball was swinging and seaming quite madly over there. And because of the fact that India had discarded its number 4 batter, hadn't picked him in the squad, it meant that there were lots of number 4 batters who were tried during that tournament. And with the kind of form that the top 3 had at that time, Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan and Virat Kohli, they were batting for most of the 50 overs. So the number 4 had to come and slam the ball around. Now suddenly in the semi-final, when India lost 3 wickets, that number 4 had no idea how to build an innings, how to repair the innings, and that's how India lost the plot.
You said at the beginning that this is a very balanced team, but if you had to look and pick one player who stands out in India's journey so far, without whose contribution we wouldn't have reached where we have, who's that one player you appreciate the most in this tournament? Who's the one person you're looking out for come Sunday?
It is because everybody's contributed so well. So it's a little bit tough to answer that question. But I'll stick my neck out and say Rohit Sharma, the captain, because he's led from the front. He's shown how to get after an attack. He's made the path easy for those coming after him. And then in tough situations, like against New Zealand in the semi-finals, when that partnership was taking place between Kane Williamson and Daryl Mitchell, the calmness that he showed was the reason why the Indian team never seemed to have panic. Their shoulders would never drop because he was around to ensure that those panic signs didn't come out at all. So for me, I think for all this performance, for the way the team had bonded together, Rohit Sharma deserves the highest credit.
Sunil Gavaskar for joining us. Thank you very much. All the best for Sunday. Thank you, sir. I want to go across to our guests now, and quite obviously, Mr. Gavaskar being Mr. Gavaskar and being a part of very significant Indian teams, didn't want to take a position on whether this is the strongest team ever. Definitely is one of the strongest, but my question is very sharp and precise. Is this the strongest team ever? So I want to start by asking Amrit Mathur first. You've seen so many teams over the decades. When you look back at specific teams, specific years, specific captains, is there a team that, according to you, comes close to how dominant and how strong this team has been?
No, clearly I think this is the best ever. I can understand Mr. Gavaskar's reasons, and they are valid, that the game has changed, difficult to compare. But this is a team of 11 top quality players, and all the top quality players playing at the peak. I think this is the one characteristic which separates this team from others. 11 players, all in top form. Suddenly when we are batting, it looks as if we got 6 Sehwags coming in, 1 to 6, and with Rohit Sharma showing away. And there have been 10 matches. And do you even remember one failure in the Indian team? You had everybody contributing, everybody, making a mark. For instance, let me give you an example. In the New Zealand game, Mr. Gavaskar referred to this partnership between Mitchell and Williamson. At a crucial time of the game, Kuldeep Yadav came and bowled 2 very tight overs. That changed the game, and that took the game away from New Zealand. So my point is, definitely this is the strongest Indian team, dominant, efficient, and playing with a certain calm and confidence which we have not seen in any other team. Credit to Rohit Sharma, as Mr. Gavaskar said, but I would think that this is clearly the best white ball team India has had.
Pradeep Magazine, in your years covering Indian cricket, can you with confidence say that this is the strongest Indian team ever to walk out to the park?
Well, yes, the kind of cricket they played over these 10 matches, if you just isolate whatever they did before that and just look at their performance, I would say yes, it does appear to be one of the, or maybe the most invincible team I have seen. But
is that because this is in India? If this was happening, say, in South Africa or England or New Zealand, would it have been very different?
Even in Indian conditions, I don't think any Indian team has dominated the way they have. But we will have to still wait till the final. Because
what's changed? Because they largely the same lot didn't seem so dominant a few months ago.
I think a lot of credit I would give it to the selectors, whoever has chosen the team, because they waited for Rahul, who was injured. People were saying, why are they doing that? He's not in form. Even if he comes back, will he be able to make runs? Suresh Iyer, they waited for him. So they had already planned their team, obviously.
Which could have gone both ways.
Which could have gone both ways, but nothing succeeds like success. I mean, one call they may regret not having taken earlier is between Shami and Siraj, because Siraj had done so well, so they couldn't drop him, and suddenly Shami, the kind of spells he has produced.
But Shami is playing now, which is fantastic.
Which he is playing because a player got injured. I would say we wait till Sunday, but I haven't seen a more dominant team in a World Cup apart from Australia or West Indies of the past, the way this.
So I'll come to that. We'll do a comparative with the West Indies team of the 70s, the early 80s, and the Australian team of the 2000s. But before that, Nikhil Naz, is this the strongest, the most dominant Indian team that you've ever seen?
If you ask me today, I'm going to say yes. But if you ask me on Monday, it'll depend on the result. Because if this Indian team does not win the World Cup, we're not going to remember the team. Sure. That often happens, right? At a final, you stumble at the final hurdle, you'll forget all these dominating performances that they've had so far, and the two strongest team will then remain the one that won the World Cup in 1983 and in 2011. But having said that, if you compare it with the two Indian teams, and I agree with Mr. Gavaskar saying you can't compare different conditions from different era, but I think the best way of comparing is comparing it with your peers at that time, what you did, because conditions remain the same for every team while they were playing. In that, the closest comparison probably would be the 1983 team, because they're also...
Team.
Yes.
But that was hardly dominant. They barely made it through as the underdog.
I still say this is the strongest.
No, but this is about strongest and dominant. That was hardly a dominant team. They found some ways of squeezing through.
No, because I'm saying you've got to realize the difference was that West Indies was the most dominant team, right? You beat them in the opening game, you beat them in the finals. And all I say is because we remember individual performances. You mentioned that, everyone's performing. There's a Shreyas Iyer performing, KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma, name it. And that was the only team that comes close, because there you had, on certain occasion, a few games, Yashpal Sharma was the star. A few games, Kapil Dev was the star. Mohinder Amanath was a star in a few games. Sandeep Patil was a star in a few games. So were the bowlers, Madan Lal sometime. Roger Binney took a couple of Man of the Match awards. So it was spread out.
So Nikhil
just
Naz
like
is
that.
spicing things up. He has a different
No,
take.
I still say this is the strongest.
He's saying 83 also had multiple players in that star cast, and in the end they seem quite dominant. Do you think this is the most dominant team ever that India has fielded, the strongest Indian team?
Is that for me, Rahul?
Yes, Shishir, it is.
Yes, without a doubt. I mean, yes, we have to consider conditions. We have to consider home advantage. We have to consider opposition, strength of oppositions, all those things taken into consideration. I'd say that we've all been watching World Cups over the years. The way we've played over this period of a month, I don't think any team has dominated World Cup cricket as much as, they're pretty much invincible in the way they've played till the last game. We don't know what's going to happen on Sunday, but I'd go further in saying that this is probably the best team that has exhibited its skills in the World Cup, even if we don't win the finals. And that is just one game, because what we've displayed in terms of our batting strength, our bowling strength, our leadership.
But nobody remembers the losers, right? Nobody remembers who got the silver. They only remember whether you win or not. So I don't think they'll be considered dominant if they lose against the Aussies after beating them in the league.
Rahul, don't look at the destination. It's also the journey that's equally important. And I think the way we've played over the last month, we deserve to look at ourselves and say, be very proud of this team. I know it's the final frontier. It's the final of a World Cup. It's a do or die situation. You get up with a different mindset. But having said that, what we've seen with these guys, right from Rohit up to the 11th man, whether it is Kuldeep and Shami, each one seems indispensable to this team. And that is something we haven't seen over the other World Cups. We've always hoped for some player to get it back into form. We've hoped for somebody to, strike form, so on and so forth. Here, I don't see anyone being out of form, and that has been the biggest advantage of this team.
Okay, so here's what we've established so far, that this is definitely seeming to be the strongest team. The seeming is only there because they haven't won the finals yet, and if they do, it'll definitely be the strongest team. So I want to come now to what can go wrong, because it's very easy to get carried away in this rah-rah spirit of, yes, the cup's home, but it's not home yet, and therefore, what can go wrong and how to guard against it. Let me start with Amrit Mathur. Amrit, your biggest fear, how to guard against the fear so we don't end up then in post-mortem discussing 15 minutes of madness again?
Listen, I think we have to remember that this is the final. It's the World Cup final. We are playing at home. So it is not just a match, it's the occasion which is important and the pressure that comes with that occasion. So it is something which both teams will be worried about. Big game, so much is riding on it. So it's pressure, and the team that adjusts to that pressure better are going to win. One more point, a lot has been said about home advantage. I don't think we really have any home advantage more than anybody else, because I think Kapil said some time back that the Australians have played more white ball cricket in India than in Australia. Because of the IPL and the multiple tours, everybody knows conditions. the only advantage we'll have is a packed Narendra Modi Stadium with more than 100,000 people rooting for India. So that can be
No,
intimidating.
but is that an advantage, or could that potentially also be additional pressure? Because the Aussies...
I think it's an advantage because we have so much support, and it's also intimidating to the other team that, you're not only playing those 11 against you, but you have so many at the stadium, in a way against you. So ultimately it boils down to pressure and the performance on the big occasion, because there's a sense of history attached to a World Cup final. It's not just any other game. It's not even any other game of any other tournament. This is the pinnacle. And everybody knows that you are remembered for victories on occasions like this. We remember 83, we remember 2011, and hopefully if things go right, we will remember 2023 for a very long time.
Okay, so I was at the Prime Minister's Diwali Milan at the BJP headquarters. I was told that the Prime Minister is going to be at the Narendra Modi Stadium on Sunday. Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, has been invited as well. It'll be packed to the rafters. I viewed the India-Pakistan game. It's a very exhilarating experience if you are shouting and cheering. Does this put extra pressure? Because the Aussies literally have nothing to fear. Nobody really has much expectation from them because they lost the initial matches. So do they come in then having lesser to lose? In India, the Prime Minister sitting there, 1 lakh plus people sitting there, Amit Shah and everybody else, and they're like, could the occasion get to them?
It can, but this team does so far seem to be immune to pressure, the way they are
Pressure
played.
to aayega na, sir.
No, I'm saying that it does appear that, but yes, I think India has to guard against a couple of more factors. See, Amrit was the manager of the Indian team in 2003 World Cup. India were in the finals against Australia and suddenly everything crumbled.
And they looked good till the finals.
They looked good and they were very confident they would do well, but pressure does strange things to people. I think what India has to be very careful is 2-3 factors. A, have they peaked a bit early? Because the kind of intensity...
Do you think they peaked early?
Oh, no, one doesn't know. One hopes that they carry on this momentum for one more game. But with the kind of intensity they have displayed, which is like, it's almost jaw-dropping at that. You don't see teams for 10 matches play with that same intensity, the same energy, as if every match they are playing is the final. So that's a possibility that whenever they come under pressure, like against New Zealand in semi-finals, there were moments when New Zealand were batting and it appeared they were fighting back and they could chase that target. India suddenly looked desperate.
Yeah.
Suddenly you saw for those 5
Catches
minutes,
fell down.
different team, not the same team which was playing in the otherwise. So they have to guard against that. And one more important factor, I think, is what kind of a wicket. It's a home advantage. They would obviously want a slow, low turner, like where there is no bounce. They would want that suits Indian conditions, but things at times go wrong. See,
what can go wrong?
Australians are a tremendously resilient team. They know, as we all know, that they know how to win. They've been there, they've won the World Cup more than any other team has. So they can fight back. They can, the same factors which India think is to their advantage, Australians can turn it around and
Nikhil, what's your number one worry?
Well, I think, law of averages tells you that you were talking about that.
Lurking somewhere in the corner.
No, as you mentioned, that bad half hour. I would say that bad half hour has already happened for India, and it happened against Australia in the first league game. They had lost their first 3 wickets for just 2 runs on the board. Your 3 batsmen in the pavilion, you set the cat amongst the pigeon.
But that time, I think Kohli was lucky a catch got dropped, right?
Yes, but I'm saying you had the bad half hour. From there, you went on to win that game. So I would say...
But there wasn't this kind of pressure.
Well, Rohit Sharma summed it up very well. He said every World Cup game is pressure because it's a round-robin league. Had you lost that first game, you don't know where your campaign went and you'd be struggling to qualify for the semi. So every game that you were playing was full of pressure. And I think why I don't think this team will have anything, a bad half hour or bad 1 hour is because if you look back, and I think the primary reason is the captain in Rohit Sharma. I was there when they lost that semi-final at the T20 World Cup where they underperformed in the semi-final.
They just played too slowly.
Yes, because they had that fear of failure. And I think consciously they took a decision then that you have to eliminate that. And you know what? They walked the talk since then. You often hear sportsmen talking about you've got to concentrate on the process, forget about the result, just eliminate the result of your mind. You'd often say that this is lip service. But if you look at India's performance closely in this World Cup, they've done exactly that. They've eliminated the result from their mind. They've just concentrated on the process. That's the reason why they've been able to overcome the pressure, and which is why if I'm an Indian fan, I'm not too worried for the final.
Shishir Hatangadi, what's your number one concern?
I've got two concerns, two things that have really helped us play so well, and we can take numbers into consideration. But the opening partnership, even against New Zealand, it was actually Rohit and Shubman who sort of played freely and gave us that start. Rohit may have not got big numbers, but he was able to dominate that attack. So hopefully, the early start is important to make a stamp an impression on where you're going in this game. If you lose early wickets, which can happen in any game of cricket, it could create a sort of ramp on the motorway, and that may be difficult to handle. And the number two is if your opening bowlers don't start off well. Given that you bowled so consistently throughout the tournament, if you don't start off well, then again you're expecting that something will explode at the other end, and we might be under pressure. But it hasn't happened. If you look at this tournament, we haven't been pushed into a corner because somebody or the other has stood up, and the form has been good consistently from 1 to 11. So my worry is these two areas have to be looked at. We need a little bit of divine intervention in a big game, a little bit of luck that will help us believe that even astrology is helping us. But at the end of the day,
how important is the toss, Shishir? We saw in the semi-finals, India poked up a big score. What if India is batting second? Would that be terrible because there'll be that much more pressure, especially if Australia's got a big first innings score?
Crucial, very crucial, Rahul. The toss will be crucial. If the team that bats first obviously will have the advantage of putting the numbers on the board, and whatever you get, somebody will have to chase them. Yesterday we saw Australia almost make a big meal of a modest total. So this is going to be crucial. But India have never been pushed into a corner in this tournament. So that's probably because they've played so well. The point is, if we are pushed in a corner, how do we react? And that's going to be interesting. Hopefully, we'll get some divine intervention, and of course, 100,000 people, just supporting Indian cricket and hoping that this team makes an impression and wins the World Cup. Can't hope for anything more.
Amrit Mathur, how important is the toss? We were lucky we batted first. If we were chasing 340, 350 odd against New Zealand under lights second, would that have been a much tougher ask, you think?
Of course. I think the Indian batting is sort of based on batting first, big score. And as Shishir said, I think the only worry is that in case you're batting first, you lose 2 wickets in the power play, then you're in trouble. Then the other players can't play with the freedom that they've played with over 10 games. So that is a worry. 2 wickets to the Australian pace bowling can happen. It happened the other day when we played them in the first game, and we were, as Nikhil said, we were 3 down for 2 runs, and then dropped out to Virat. So if we have a bad start, then your batting doesn't play out the way it has done in 10 games. So that's a problem. That's a concern. But if we bat the way we've done, get off to a great start with Rohit leading the way, then a big total on the scoreboard has Australia in trouble.
And then the cup's coming home, of course.
Chasing won't be easy in a big game if you are chasing, say, 300 plus.
Okay, now in the last part of the show, I want to talk about who's the one player who's most important in the view of our pundits to our fortunes in Sunday. You can't duck, dance, weave. Straight question, straight answer. Who's most important in your view and why? I'll put this to Pradeep first.
That's quite a difficult...
Ek pakdo.
I mean, in a team where everyone is performing...
All this we know, all these caveats. Just one player who you think is rare, like Shami in the last match, 7 wickets. Wickets at crucial times, coming in, picking the 3rd wicket at time, and they felt like they were running away with it.
I would say Bumrah's form. I mean, he's the one bowler who has...
Why didn't he bowl as well in the semis?
Well, hopefully he had this off day already, because he's one bowler not just at the beginning but even later or in the middle overs. If the rival team batsmen are doing well, he comes in and puts on the brakes. So I think Bumrah's form would be very crucial.
So for you, Bumrah is most important?
I think he's the most
Shishir
important.
Hatangadi, who's most important for you? One player, no weaving, ducking, dancing.
Who's this for?
Shishir.
Well, give me one situation. Don't give me one player. I'll say the opening partnership.
I never said this is like a serious... I don't take cricket quite as seriously as I take election psephology and data. This is a fan-based show. One player who's most important and why.
I'm just saying, Rahul, I'm just hoping that we get a start.
This doesn't count. This doesn't count as an answer. Shishir Hatangri, this doesn't count. You want to do a more serious cricket show? Go with Nikhil. Here, pick one player.
Rohit Sharma. One player, Rohit Sharma, because he is going to set the prelude to the symphony. And that prelude is very important in the way the final goes. So the prelude to the symphony is Rohit Sharma and how he approaches the first power play. And for me, that is going to be very crucial in terms of how this game turns out. Hopefully, if we bat first, or even if we bat second, it's how he approaches. It's a prelude to the symphony. So let's hope it's a Mozart show by India.
Nicely put. Okay, so Pradeep Magazine picked Bumrah. Shishir Hatangri picking Rohit Sharma. Nikhil Naz, your pick.
Oh, I would have gone with Rohit too, because he performs a double role. One of being the enforcer, the one who starts and gives you that start. If he gives you a good start, more often than not, India will put a total in excess of 300, which more often than not is a winning total. And then he's the captain. He does the bowling changes. He's been spot on so far. So I'll go with Rohit.
Okay, so you picked Rohit as well. Now, I want to go across to Amrit Mathur, but he can't pick Rohit. Rohit's been picked by two. You pick somebody else. Who's your pick?
Listen, I'll pick Virat. Okay. It's a big game, and nobody understands what to do on a big occasion better than Virat. But in addition to Virat, if I can, take this liberty, Kuldeep Yadav, because Australians are suspect against reading him. Whether it's Maxwell, Warner, the others, so he could be crucial in terms of middle overs, get you wickets, and win you the game.
Okay, so we've had an interesting pick. You've got Kohli, 2 for Sharma, 1 for Bumrah. It'll be interesting to see which of these boys actually comes to the party. For the time being, Shishir Hatangri, Amrit Mathur, Nikhil Naz, and Pradeep Magazine. Thank you. My producers are telling me to give you my X Factor. Frankly, I have no clue. Okay, I have no tools to come up with who's likely to play best. I mean, let's just hope that any of the people our pundits have picked actually help us win. What's most important is winning. It doesn't matter who gets us across the finishing line as long as we end up on the winning side. So thank you for joining us. All the best for Sunday. Ahmedabad though is on a roll because hotel prices, flight tickets coming into Ahmedabad, they're skyrocketing. India, Pakistan was crazy. This is crazy multiplied into 10. Take a look.
Another one, number 7.
10 out of 10 wins to storm into the finals of the Cricket World Cup.
7 for Shami.
A 12-year wait comes to an end for Team India. And facing India in the finals will be Australia, an encore of the 2003 World Cup final. And this time, on home turf, India are the favourites. The whole country is preparing for a cracker of a final. The Indian Air Force will grace the skies during the World Cup final. And the rehearsals are being conducted above the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. 4 jets were seen performing maneuvers.
फाइनल मुकाबला देखने के लिए प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी, गृह मंत्री अमित शाह, इसके साथ ही ऑस्ट्रेलिया के प्राइम मिनिस्टर और डिप्टी प्राइम मिनिस्टर को भी निमंत्रण भेजा गया है मैदान में आकर मैच देखने के लिए। हालांकि उनके कंफर्मेशन का इंतज़ार हो रहा है, पर ये हाई प्रोफाइल मैच जो कि विश्व के सबसे बड़े मैदान में होना है, नरेंद्र मोदी स्टेडियम में होना है। अभी से कई लोग टिकट्स के लिए मैदान के बाहर पहुँच रहे हैं। हालाँकि टिकट्स है सिर्फ ऑनलाइन।
वर्ल्ड कप इंडिया जीते और बड़ी शान से जीते। अब तक के 10 में से 10 मतलब 100% मार्क्स के साथ में इंडिया फाइनल में पहुंची है और कोई विरोधी नज़र नहीं आ रहा। ऑस्ट्रेलिया है वो भी पस्त हो गई, फाइनल में पहुंची है। उम्मीद करूंगा कि इंडिया फाइनल जीते।
इंडिया ज़रूर जीते, ये हमारी बहुत दिलो जान से इच्छा है। ऑल द बेस्ट टू टीम इंडिया।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the World Cup final in Ahmedabad, and accompanying him will be the Home Minister Amit Shah. An invitation has also been extended to Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Amid all the celebrations, airfare has skyrocketed, a 10-time increase from the Diwali weekend. The fare for flights from Mumbai to Ahmedabad has crossed 45,000 rupees, and Delhi to Ahmedabad flights are costing over 30,000 rupees.
मुंबई अहमदाबाद और दिल्ली का जो किराया है वो करीबन 25,000 से 35,000 तक का जा रहा है, समझो। और वो तो रहेगा ही क्योंकि वर्ल्ड कप है और इंडिया का चांसेस है जीतने का, और कहीं कहीं से लोग आ रहे हैं, VVIPs आ रहे हैं, गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी बॉडीज आ रहे हैं, तो ये फेयर 25 से 35,000 तक का रहेगा अभी।
And not just airfares, hotel prices have also increased manifold. Till India reached the finals, the rooms were available at Rs 5,000 to 25,000 per night. But the moment India won the semis, prices in 2 and 3-star hotels ranged between 10,000 and 25,000 rupees. And 5 stars are charging between 50,000 and 2 lakh rupees per room.
भारत इस बार वर्ल्ड कप में पहुंच ही गया है और इसका उत्साह पूरे देश भर में, सिर्फ भारत में नहीं, दुनिया से लोग यहाँ आना चाहेंगे और ये देखना चाहेंगे इस मैच को. तो पूरे दुनिया से लोगों की इंक्वायरी आ रही है.
The Indian fan is splurging on the World Cup and now await the ultimate cricket glory. Bureau Report, India Today.
We're slipping into a quick break right now. When we come back, we will show you a big India Today impact. Last night, remember on the Newstrack, we had a full deep feature on the dangers posed by deepfakes. Today, the Prime Minister at the BJP's Diwali Milan spoke about our story and the challenges of deepfakes, warning citizens and organizations to be careful about the chaos they could cause in society. I'll get you what the PM said. We'll get you all the other reactions that are coming in on the other side of these messages. Stay with us.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp with the #1 election team as we gear up for the upcoming assembly elections. Do scan the QR code.
Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Follow these steps. Open WhatsApp on your phone. Check for a new updates tab. Select Find Channel and type India Today. After finding the channel, tap the Follow button.
Air quality today. In Delhi, 424. In Mumbai, 121. In Kolkata, 199. In Bengaluru, 39. In Chennai, 151. In Hyderabad, 114.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
As the narrative of democracy comes full circle in the state of Rajasthan,
where the people become the powerful and the powerful at the will of the people. Will history repeat itself, or will the people of the state script a new chapter?
सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा क्या है?
एमएलए का चुनाव ये ज्यादा भारी पड़ रहा है।
सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा विकास का है, पर आपके यहाँ पे ना रोड है ना कुछ है।
Presented by आपका जॉय भारत का जॉय, जॉय ई-बाइक।
Welcome back. On the Newstrack, we spent a lot of time talking about the challenges of deepfake technology and how this was actually one of the biggest problems that will confront us in the Lok Sabha elections of 2024. We're already seeing signs of it in this assembly election. Within hours of that India Today story, this was widely discussed in government circles amongst bureaucrats, and this morning Prime Minister Modi himself spoke of the challenges of deepfake and the kind of chaos this could cause in society. And India Today story brought to you on the Newstrack having a massive impact, at least in getting decision makers to start thinking about the challenges posed by deepfakes. Here's a report.
Imagine in an election season, Virat Kohli's picture being replaced by a politician. There you go. You now have a picture of Virat Kohli sitting and working in our newsroom.
India Today's deep dive into digital sorcery. A journey into the realm of deception.
And put words in his mouth. So
our in-house experts took center stage on Thursday, revealing the dark arts of deepfakes. We exposed how faces can be swapped, voices mimicked, and reality manipulated with a few clicks.
this free and customizable tool can be used and accessed by any developer in the world.
I will just sit in front of computer and the software is going to look at me and describe what I'm doing in that language, tone and voice of none other than David Attenborough.
The image depicts a man sitting inside a room concentrating on reading a book with an orange and white cover. The man is wearing glasses and has a neatly groomed moustache. He is dressed in a dark jacket over a lighter shirt. The room's background appears simple, with plain walls and no discernible decorations.
ChatGPT के लोग मिले थे तो मैंने उनको कहा था.
A day later, Prime Minister Narendra Modi sounded the alarm. The Prime Minister described deepfakes as a potential threat to the Indian system.
जैसे सिगरेट पे आता है, it's a cancerous. पीना तुम्हारी मर्जी, लेकिन लिखा हुआ रहता है. ये हेल्थ के लिए हैजार्ड है, ऐसा लिखा हुआ है. जो भी चैट जीपीटी का उपयोग करता है या कोई इस प्रकार से एआई का उपयोग करता है, तो वहां एक आना चाहिए, इट्स अ डीप फेक. फिर उसको देखें, आनंद करे, जो करना है करे, लेकिन उस पर आना चाहिए.
The Prime Minister called upon both citizens and the media to stay vigilant against the misuse of artificial intelligence for deepfakes. The Prime Minister even cited a video purportedly featuring him performing Garba, a seemingly real moment that turned out to be a meticulously crafted illusion. The man in the viral video was not Prime Minister Modi, but a doppelganger. Actor Vikas Mahante participating at a Diwali event in London.
इनमें से किस मुख्यमंत्री को उनकी झूठी घोषणाओं के कारण घोषणा मशीन कहा जाता है?
As the menace of deepfakes continues to grow, the Prime Minister's call for vigilance underscores the importance of staying one step ahead of the illusions that threaten Indian democracy.
सबको 1500 रुपए महीने और 5
Bureau Report, India Today.
फिर इस बार तो छोड़ो, अगली बार भी हमारा जीतना नामुमकिन हो.
Meanwhile, Israeli soldiers have found a tunnel shaft used by the Hamas at Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital. The Israeli Defense Forces have claimed that a body of a hostage was also found in the hospital compound. The Israeli forces have intensified their operations in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank with raids at the Ibn Sina hospital after an IDF soldier was killed in a terror strike. All 3 suspected terrorists have also been killed. Israeli forces have dropped leaflets in the Khan Yunis area in southern Gaza asking people to evacuate.
Hamas terror network linked to Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City stands exposed. Israeli troops are searching rooms and basement of Gaza's biggest hospital after days-long siege that caused global alarm over the fate of thousands of civilians trapped inside. Hamas's tunneling infrastructure inside the hospital is now revealed. The Israeli forces also seized a vehicle containing weapons and ammunition that was to be used in October 7th massacre.
IDF forces found a tunnel shaft in Shifa hospital.
Engineering forces are currently uncovering the infrastructure there. We also found a vehicle that has been prepared for the massacre on the October 7 and didn't leave. And we found many weapons in it. I want to emphasize a car of Hamas terrorists with many weapons within the ground of Shifa Hospital.
Al-Shifa Hospital has become the main target of the ground operation by Israeli forces, who claim Hamas fighters ran their operations from headquarters in tunnels beneath it. Hamas has denied the charge.
After 20 hours of attacking all the hospital facilities, searching and tampering with all the contents and departments, the spokesperson of the occupation army came out as usual with a weak and ridiculous story, saying that he had found several rifles, a Kalashnikov, a laptop, a military uniform and an old pair of shoes which he displayed on the shelves, and moved from one place to another and appearing in front of journalists as if he has displaying his goods in a supermarket or in a hotel room.
Israel says its troops uncovered weapons and terror infrastructure inside the hospital compound after killing fighters in clashes outside. There was no fighting or friction with civilians, patients or staff inside the hospital, according to the IDF. Israel also claims to have found the body of Yehudi Twiss, one of around 240 hostages taken by Hamas gunmen when they stormed southern Israel on October 7. The body was recovered by troops in a building near the Al-Shifa hospital. Even as Israeli defense forces mount operations inside the Al-Shifa and other hospitals in the locality, civilians who have taken shelter in these facilities are demanding a ceasefire. Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where we wrap up the Newstrack tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. Have a great weekend and all the best for Sunday.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 28 and minimum 14 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 30 and minimum 25 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 27 and minimum 21 degrees. Bengaluru, maximum 28 and minimum 21 degrees. Chennai, maximum 29 and minimum 26 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 30 and minimum 19 degrees.
Kerala's public health. All political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
You think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories. From every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. You are watching India Today. Powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
After days of deadly Israeli assault, Hamas's deep dark secrets are out in the open. The Al-Shifa hospital under Israeli attack has revealed what Tel Aviv has all along been claiming. Stashes of deadly weapons, ammunition kept hidden along MRI machines, medical rooms and closets of Al-Shifa hospital. Israeli troops who raided the hospital discovered the weapons at most unlikely of places, like the MRI rooms.
We're now, as you can see, in an MRI room. I don't know when this was used the last time. But it is definitely an MRI machine. And if you follow me behind the MRI machine, I'll show you what our troops exposed just minutes ago. In military terms, this is a grab bag, grab and go of a Hamas combatant. And if you zoom in and we get some light over here, what you'll be able to see is military equipment. There is an AK-47, there are cartridges, ammo, there are grenades in here, of course uniform, and all of this was hidden very conveniently, secretly behind the MRI machine.
Stashes of weapons were also found hidden in multiple closets of Al-Shifa hospital. They include AK-47 assault weapons, live grenades, bullets, fighting vests.
The contents of the bag are full military kit for one Hamas terrorist. A live grenade, ammunition, fighting vest with insignia, boots and of course uniforms, and last but not least, standard AK-47. Inside the hospital, hidden in a secluded area.
The security cameras were also found covered so as not to leave evidence of Hamas weapons stockpile in hospital.
That Hamas systematically uses hospitals in their military operations in violation of international law, and what we have found, I think, is only the tip of the iceberg. Let me show you a few examples. Security cameras have been obstructed. All of the security cameras are covered, and this isn't the only one. You'll see the rest of them here.
IDF also found fresh medical equipment and claimed there is no shortage for patients.
So we're still in the MRI center. The backpack was found in here, and it was also hidden behind the MRI machine. As you can see, the rest of the equipment here is proper hospital equipment, right? Bandages and medical gear. It seems as if there's no real shortage because there's a lot of equipment here.
You are watching India Today. Powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Presented by JK Tyre Ranger Series. Stay wild at heart.
Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist.
Co-powered by the bold look of Kohler.
Hello and welcome